Mac Mini series with M2 processor. It was released at the end of January, 2 years after the release of the M1. More people than expected are waiting for the M2 Mac Mini series. It is because the M1 Mac Mini series has been released and there are quite a few people who are in the limelight as the most ideal computer for the public, including Apple Silicon's amazing performance, power efficiency, and reasonable price. In addition, right after the release of the M2, there are some people who want to buy it without asking because of the news that it must be purchased unconditionally because of its cost-effectiveness. There are a few things to note. In this video, I will talk about the M2 Mac Mini based on the reviews of those who have purchased and used the M2 Mac Mini since its release. There is no major change in the external design, but the M2 Mac Mini has become quite powerful in many parts, and supports Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 6E. The M2 Mac Mini can connect up to 2 external monitors with 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and the M2 Mac Mini Pro model supports 4 Thunderbolt ports and can connect up to 3 external monitors, and finally connects one 8K monitor. Has been able to. Apple says that the M2 Mac Mini model provides up to 50% faster Photoshop filter processing speed than the M1 and up to 2.4 times faster Final Cut Pro ProRes video transcoding speed. There seems to be a real-world performance improvement. However, the difference in video editing is not a huge difference. It shows a difference of only a few seconds. However, what is really surprising is that the M2 Basic model, also known as the 10 model, has lower performance than the previous M1 Basic model. There's no way Apple just cut the price. The old adage that cheap is expensive is really true. The problematic option for the base model of the M2 Mac Mini is the 256GB SSD. When this option was selected, most reviews showed a maximum speed decrease of 50% to 30%. This is also appearing on the M2 14-inch MacBook Pro. This problem has been reported since the release of the M2 MacBook Pro 13-inch, which was released last year, and the key cause is the dual non-chip. This is because they changed the configuration to a single non-chip. If you think that a 2-lane road has been changed to a 1-lane road, it seems to be the fastest to understand. The slowness of an SSD affects overall computer performance beyond just file movement speed. The most essential way to avoid this is to choose the next option, 512GB capacity. 512GB or more models have 2 physical chips. It is a fundamental solution to create a 2-lane highway again because it is connected by RAID. If you have an external SSD that supports Thunderbolt, you can use the external SSD as a startup disk. You may consider using it, and of course, you may expect some performance improvement through a RAM upgrade, but it is strongly recommended that you avoid the 256GB option, which is a fundamental solution. The M2 Pro Mac Mini came out well except for the SSD issue, so there are a lot of people who are thinking about between the pull-up model and the Mac Studio Basic model, right? Many people would think that the basic model of Mac Studio would be nice to have more USB ports and better performance. To begin with, the M2 Mac Mini is slightly faster in terms of performance for those who prioritize image-related work, and Mac Studio is slightly faster when it comes to video editing such as 4K and 8K. It may vary depending on the budget or the main purpose of use, but from my point of view, if you choose a product that is fast enough and has an appropriate budget, the M2 Pro Mac Mini seems to be a better choice, and if you mainly do professional work, Mac Studio Basic model might be a slightly better choice. The biggest advantage of the Mac Mini is its amazing price. A lot of people were surprised because the $699 M1 Mac Mini series was also quite affordable, as the starting price dropped by a whopping $100. The M2 Mac Mini starts at $599. At Apple Education, you can buy it for $499, which is $100 cheaper than that. Hanwha also starts at $850,001 because the price has fallen. The Education discount store is $710,001. However, as mentioned earlier, the important point is that the performance of the basic model has also declined. When purchasing, it is absolutely recommended to purchase a mid-range 512GB for $1.12 million. You waited 2 years beyond the price cut, but buying a product with lower performance than the M1 is an opportunity loss. Therefore, we strongly recommend that you delete the left view of the Apple website and start from the middle. In particular, if you purchase from an education discount site, you can purchase it at 980,001 with a 140,001 discount, so we recommend that students use the education discount when purchasing. And again, after the first pre-order sale, the 256GB basic model discount is expected to be developed around official resellers. But personally, I think the M1 used model could be a better option. And the most ideally recommended model is the basic model for the M2 Pro. Although the price goes up to 1,790,001, the performance is comparable to that of Mac Studio. Add about 1 TB of capacity here or have good performance. If you have an external SSD with sufficient capacity, you can also consider connecting the SSD to Thunderbolt and installing and using it as a startup drive. The processor upgrade and memory upgrade cost 400,001 and 540,001 respectively. You can prioritize the Pro 10 core with a 1 TB storage device and then add based on your budget, but the performance compared to the cost is not great. In addition, in terms of price, the depreciation of the corresponding amount is very high when selling used, so you will lose money when upgrading the next model later. Therefore, processor and memory upgrades are not highly recommended. The M2 Mac Mini series was scheduled to be released last fall, but unfortunately it was postponed, and it is said that the release in the first half of this year is likely. It was shown, but as it was released immediately beyond the March event, the clocks of those preparing to purchase accelerated. As of the first week of February, the M2 MacBook Pro series and Mac Mini series seem to be undergoing radio certification. Even now, the release date has not been set, but it is expected to be released around the third week of February, before the new semester begins in March. If you need this, we recommend that you prepare your purchase in advance.